Hi, I'm Jacquie Capstick, and this is the Natural Healing Reel. Today, I am excited to bring my guest, Amy Fournier, who is a lifelong leader and in the whole health industry with not just fitness, but the diet, the foods, the spirituality. She brings it all together, and she's been doing this for a lifetime, and it's quite impressive. So I would like to bring her in now. Hi, Amy. Thank you for coming on the Natural Healing Reel.
Hello, Jackie. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
So I was just hoping that maybe you could fill in a little bit of your what you want us to know about you, like a little bit of your bio.
Okay. Gosh, where do we start, right? A whole lifetime. How do I summarize my life? Right now I'm in Massachusetts, and I pretty much divide my time between California, Miami, and Massachusetts, working my way out of Massachusetts most likely because I certainly am a beach girl at heart, and the winters are a little tough. But I have been in the health, wellness, and self-development industries for probably about 30 years, over 30 years now, through a myriad of reasons, not only some of my own personal health challenges, but always trying to kind of better myself and seek out help from people who are walking the walk and talking the talk and had the life and the body or the mindset or whatever it was that I aspired to have myself. So it's been quite a road of twists and turns and taking me in lots of different places. But I very much embrace the holistic nature of health and wellness and mindset and living, and that, you know, our environment and our diet and the way we move our bodies and the way we think and the people we surround ourselves with, and all these things are going to determine the quality of our life and how we feel and how we look. So School of Hard Knocks has taught me a lot. I still have a lot more to learn, but it's been quite a fun journey so far.
Yeah, that's awesome, because I think you're inspiring a lot of people on your journey as well, right? So, and I think that for myself, I know that when we teach, then we're learning it on a deeper level, right? We're understanding, and yeah, so sharing that knowledge is so important, right, for ourselves, and obviously for others that are open for the information. So you are the owner of Miami Fitness and Lifestyle Center, gym.
Actually, that has been closed due to the pandemic. So I did have my own facility, which was a fitness and lifestyle club that was located in Massachusetts, north of Boston, about 25 minutes. But we closed due to the pandemic. And that was a beautiful experience where I really tried to create the whole environment, if you will, for people that they really felt like they were part of a family, and it was beyond just the physical fitness, but introducing the emotional and spiritual components of health and wellness. We did a lot of workshops and different things, but a lot of great relationships came out of that. A lot of the members are still friends and to this day, and it was a beautiful experience. But that chapter has since closed. Now I teach my classes online through my virtual studio, but most importantly with my podcast has been, as you have experienced, a huge new pivot for me in a new direction, and opening a lot of new doors and enabling me to share a lot of the stuff I've learned in my travels and meet new people, and opened up a lot of new opportunities. So that's kind of my current thing now, is the podcast and my online classes.
Yeah, it's a fun experience, isn't it? It's quite a journey. I'm enjoying it.
So yeah, it's
took this course together, even though we didn't, get to really get to know each other in the course. We are getting that opportunity now. So how fun is that?
Yeah, it's all about timing.
Tell me about what's going on in did you say Miami and California?
Okay, yes. So I have a place in Miami that I used to live there, and I go there. I've been going there for, oh my God, maybe I don't even know, 15 to 20 years perhaps. Because I was born and raised north of Boston, which I can't seem to figure out because I kind of don't really fit in because I do not embrace the cold weather and all that. Probably not many people do, but believe it or not, I do know a lot of people who do like the cold weather, and it is not me. So I kind of would try to gravitate toward Miami and the warmer beach. I'm a nature girl. I love to be outside. I love to be in nature. I love being, with my bare feet on the earth and hiking or beach or just something of that nature. So I've always been going there. And, but my family and my work was up in New England. So I was always kind of torn and kind of popping around between the two. And now I've been doing some work in California, not only with my coach and mentor, but a good friend of mine. And we're doing a lot of great work together. And if I had my way, Jackie, I'd probably live in California. I always thought I would. When I was in college, I went to my very first fitness and health convention in San Diego back in the late 80s. I think it was the late 80s. And I'd never been to California. And again, I'm in college, and it blew my mind. I was like, I think I died and went to heaven. San Diego was just gorgeous. And I was like, I am definitely living here because over there's the beach and over there's the mountains, and I'm in the middle. So I'm in heaven. And, but it was on the other coast. And like I said, my family and all that, you know how it is from the East Coast. So that dream never really happened. And instead I kind of defaulted and went to Florida, because that's only a 3-hour plane flight. I mean, that's a very doable pop down, pop back up and maintain both worlds. Whereas California is the other side of the country, different time zone. So it never, at least to this point, it hasn't panned out, but I am very much toying with the idea of relocating out there now that my club in New England is now closed. I do have a lot more freedom, and I'm seriously considering what my next step will be.
Nice. I love California too. I have a very similar experience. I used to go down and take the hairstyling, Vidal Sassoon dance cutting classes. Anyways, I fell in love with it, Santa Monica. And I just recently, as a family, went down to San Diego, and I hear you. There's something about it. It's very magical. But apparently they're all moving out of there right now.
Apparently what?
Apparently everybody's moving out of California.
Yes, I heard that too. And a lot of it's because of the pandemic and the government stuff, and taxes are crazy, but I've been hearing that too.
The fires and who knows whatever else, right? But
yep.
Yeah.
Well, I always feel like
make room for us to go.
That's right. Good. There'll be some good houses for sale at a good price. Right? Well, and like everything in life, though, I mean, you have to pick your priorities. I mean, no matter where you live in the States, there's good and bad, right? I was talking to my mom about this just yesterday. I mean, if you're in Florida during the winter is great, but then it gets pretty tough in July and August. It gets really hot and humid. I mean, New England's the same way. New England is amazing. People don't know, but our summers, it can get up to 100 degrees. It can get high 90s. It can be like a heat wave and sunny and hot and absolutely gorgeous. But the winters, January, February are pretty tough in New England. It gets dark at 3 o'clock and it's cold and freezing and all that kind of stuff. But so I feel like everything in life, you have to pick your battles. You have to really get clear on what's important to you. And, the rest, you make a choice.
Choice. Yes. Choice is the big thing, right?
Make a choice. Yep. Something hard to learn. We always have a choice, whether we think we do or not, we have a choice because we have freedom of the thought, the way we think and the meaning we give something and how we frame it is a choice.
Well, and I think that they say that when we make those choices, making a bad choice can really take us down a whole other road, a whole other path. I've experienced that.
Yes, yes.
Right?
And, you know, and
They're
we
very
all,
important, those choices.
but we all make mistakes, right? You go down that bad path, you made the wrong choice, but you know, it's not a death sentence. It's like, okay, this is, I'm learning. And I think the problem comes when you keep making the same bad choices, right? It's okay to make the bad choice and then learn from it. And that's called wisdom. You learn from your mistakes and then you adapt, and hopefully you don't repeat it again. That's the problem, is when we get in these patterns where we keep doing the same thing, getting the same unwanted results, and we're wondering why. It's like, well, hello, like it's a wake up call, right?
Well, I think sometimes I know for myself that, and maybe you can let me know your experience of this, but it comes in different disguises. So sometimes we don't recognize it as that same lesson or that same thread, because it looks different, it smells different, it tastes different. So this is not the same. I've made a different choice. I'm going down this path now. But ends up being a piece of that thread.
Yes, very, very interesting. Agreed.
If you had that experience, yeah. So
I do. And, I really have the philosophy, Jackie, that, life there, I believe in a ultimate divine benevolent force, a spirit, if you will, that is ultimately love, and love in its most pure essence. And that force is what created everything. And that force always wants to help push us toward the truth, which is love. And is always like I like to think of it as a loving parent, always trying to guide us toward that. And unfortunately, we go through a lot of pain sometimes to get there. But ultimately, this force really just wants us to ultimately get there. And the lessons can be disguised as uncomfortable and painful, but they're all to eventually lead to that place. That's my personal philosophy. And whether it's true or not, it's helped me deal with a lot of crap.
yeah. Yeah. Well, it sounds like it's a good philosophy to me. So, I think that what I've been learning as well, I believe very similar to you, but the other part that I've learned is that we're a part of this, right? And so to connect in to the energies instead of always looking out, we've been taught to look out.
Yes.
And this way, letting, just grounding yourself and allowing in, asking for divine guidance, right? Protection, whatever it is that you need that day. But, how can I be of service today is how can I how can I be my best self, best version of myself, as Joe would say it. I love his little statements. And I think that just when you feel that, that's the gem, right? Is when you tap into that and you get in that flow, and it's like the best feeling in the world. And then when you come out of it and then you get that contrast, it's like,
yes, because I think the flow that you're expressing is when you're in alignment with source, when you're in alignment with that ultimate divine love energy. It's a flow, it's a feeling of levity, and it's that feeling that we don't want to let go of, because we know we're aligned, and body, mind, spirit is all in one place. And that's why, to me, the physical is an important component, because you can't have the spiritual without the physical, because we're all one. It's all together. And you can't even access higher spiritual realms if your body hurts or your body doesn't work right. I mean, ask anybody that has an ache or a pain or an illness. It's very distracting. You can't elevate your spirit if your body isn't on point. And I'll also add to what you said that, a lot of times the asking, right, is very important. It's very important that we ask, step one. But I've learned too that I have to listen more and be patient about the listening, because we ask and then we want the answer, and it didn't come like yesterday, and then we're kind of pissed that, God's not listening, or whatever you want to call source. And so not only do you have to really listen, which means you have to get still and quiet enough to hear, but also you have to be willing to be aware that the answer can come in ways that you weren't expecting. You have to really open up your heart, mind, awareness to however that answer might come. It's not going to be like an email from God, so to speak. You know what I mean? It might be an email from someone else that hasn't met, but you know what I'm saying? It's not going to be like the brick falls on your head and the seas part. And oh my God, there's the answer. Sometimes the answer is like a song on the radio or something someone says to you just in a certain way, or a newspaper article that lands on your desk, or you know what I mean? It's just those can be the way the universe speaks to us, what our heart is longing for. And a lot of times too, the answers can be uncomfortable for people because the answers we don't like, because there's something that's going to require us to change our life and maybe make a hard change, whether that be a new relationship, a new job, something we should be doing that we know we should, you know. So we got to be ready for the answer, because if you really want it, then you really have to accept the truth of what that answer is going to be, or live with the consequences of not accepting it.
Yep. That choice. The other thing I learned about what you were saying, because I think that's a common thing, is that I've asked, I'm not hearing, you know, everybody's looking, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think we're supposed to look. We're supposed to just ask and it is given, right? As soon as we're looking, then it moves it away from us, which was a very big understanding for me, right?
Mm.
If you're looking, then you now are saying that you're separate from it.
Yeah. Like you don't have it. If you're feeling like you don't have it yet, that means it's separate than you. Yeah.
But asking in, again, my coaches, they taught me to ask to speak louder, you know, ask to show me, be more, you know, when you're asking for something, okay, you need to show me in a way that I'm going to know. Okay, surprise me with it. But I'm going to know the answer, and I'm going to know that it's that. And then that's a really fun thing to do, because I'll tell you what, it does come in, and it will come in a way that you just go, oh, right. And so asking again for more clarity, volume, because it is that soft little voice inside, right? It's not as loud as the ego mind.
Yeah, but sometimes though, the intuition really gives you a strong hit too. You know, it's just a different feeling, you know, but it can be very powerfully strong, as well as the soft whisper.
Oh yeah. So I was watching Czech Institute that you've been a member of for a while. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what that's about?
Oh, sure. Okay, so I'm actually not really, it's not like a membership. It's a certification. It's an educational institute. And the Czech Institute is actually the premier and the first, I think it's probably about a 35, 36-year-old business that started the whole holistic nutrition health coach movement. And it's founded by Paul Czech, who is basically a living legend. And he is really the father of holistic fitness, if you will. He's the one that brought the Swiss ball, the physio ball, from rehab, physical rehab clinics to health clubs. Now the ones, you know, all the functional training stuff, he was predominant in that. He started all the multi-cable level machines. You know how that nowadays, if you're familiar with a gym, you can change the cable attachment. The arm can be at different heights, all that. He started all that. But most importantly, he started the whole nutrition coach, lifestyle coach movement and certification. And I have several certifications from his institute. And he's also very deep in the spiritual realm, because again, he's very holistically focused in the mind, body, spirit. And they have, oh my gosh, it's a whole institute of educational resources, not only for health and fitness professionals, but also for the layperson. Anybody, my mom can buy his book, How to Eat, Move, Be Healthy, is legendary in helping people get fit at a foundational level in mind, body, and spirit. And then of course, there's the Czech Academy, where you can get trained online to be certified as not only a trainer, but a health coach, a nutrition coach. They're going into biogeometry, which I'm trained in, which is the study of shape, sound, movement, light, and how that all affects our chi and our energy. It's absolutely beautiful. I mean, they really are pioneers. And I got certified by the Czech Institute decades ago. It's what started me down the holistic path, and haven't looked back since. And I'm also fortunate enough to call Paul a longtime friend, and he also is my mentor. He's my coach. I'm very fortunate that I have a personal relationship with him, of someone of that caliber. So if anybody's interested, they probably want to check it out. It's the real deal, and it works. I mean, you can't stay in business almost 4 decades and not have your stuff help people.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really great that you have that in your life. I had no idea that it was that big. I was watching there was a panel, and you guys were debating or discussing, issues, women, divine, feminine, and just really great, valuable information that that was being shared. So
did you say
it was this a huge academy school?
Well, the information that on the divine feminine and all that stuff is my podcast. That's my personal thing. But the Czech Institute is what started me on my path down decades ago as just a personal trainer in fitness and getting really educated as to how to properly work the body and exercise the body. And then I got certified. I went on to get the holistic nutrition coach, which brought in a lifestyle and diet component, which was essential. But then since have kind of continued to educate myself, of course, and expand my awareness into the esoteric and the spiritual and the environmental aspects of health and wellness, because, my career, I've been doing this over 30 years. So I've gone in a lot of different areas of how, things that affect our life, I mean, you can't separate how you think. It's just as important, the thoughts you think, as the food you eat. The thoughts you think are your mental diet, so to speak. A lot of people have crappy mental diets, and I don't care how perfect your exercise program is and how on point your diet is. If you're thinking crappy and you're in a relationship that you don't like, or it stresses you out, or you don't feel safe and you can't be your true self, you will never be happy and fulfilled. You will never achieve the level of self-actualization and fulfillment that most likely you aspire to. You've got to look at all the aspects of who you are and what you are to be what you want to be. And I started my podcast because I've been functioning my life. What helped me survive is predominantly in my masculine energy. I mean, not only do we live in a patriarchal society currently, which is changing, but I also grew up in a very masculine dominant mindset type of family. And New England is also very much, nose to the grindstone, don't feel it, just do it, and all that. So I kind of had to recalibrate myself, and for several reasons kind of had like a midlife crisis of, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. I think I'm just going to blow up, and had to recalibrate to bring more of my feminine qualities online. Now, I'm a very feminine woman. I identify as a female, but I wasn't living the traits of the female energy as much as I needed to be, which was the more vulnerable, the more quiet, the more relaxed, the more not doing and more being. I've always been an overachiever and a make it happen and very ambitious. And through different traumas that have happened, I've had to be very strong to get through it, which is valuable. But now I'm at a point in my life where I can breathe a little and now sit back, and I have the ability to integrate all of who I am, because now I'm in a safe place to do so. So that's why I started my podcast, because that has been quite a journey for me to explore as I evolve more of myself. And I've learned that, oh my gosh, there's so many women that are in the same position. We're living from our masculine. And let me just get very clear. not to just keep rambling here, but I just want to make sure everyone understands that one is not better than the other. And I talk about this in my show, that masculine is not worse, feminine is not better. That's not even the point. The point is that we as human beings, regardless of how you identify, even if you're a man and you identify as a woman, it doesn't matter. Every human being has elements of both in them. We are all the masculine and the feminine. We are all the duality. It's how we identify, and are they in balance? Are they working for you? Do you have the discretion to know when it's best to tap into the masculine more for this particular situation, or the feminine more? I was operating in the masculine. I didn't have a default to the feminine. I didn't have access to that. It wasn't even part of my paradigm. So what I've learned is that you have to learn the discretion to know, when is it time for me to be more soft? When is it time for me to listen and be receptive? And when is it time for me to get the job done and focus and get going, and too bad if you feel like going to sleep type thing, like it was the wisdom to have the discretion to use them both to be a fully integrated human being that I've learned, and that other people apparently need help learning too. And that's why I started my podcast.
Well, you know what? That's incredible. What advice would you give somebody like that is saying, okay, well, how do I find that? How do I, how did you go about finding this divine feminine side of yourself? For somebody who's just listening and is going, okay, well, I'm not really aware that I'm doing that, but if she's just found that, how do I go about finding that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, just I guess how we find anything, right, is we just start searching, just start searching for the things that you're looking for. I mean, I was just an avid reader of all kinds of books on masculine, feminine energy, awakening the divine feminine, the sacred feminine, even just a simple Google search, or, online courses, podcasts like mine, Awakening Aphrodite, or just finding people who are doing it and who can educate you. Right now, I'm trying to get educated in women's history studies and ancient women studies, because it's been fascinating for me to learn that the female was not only revered and respected, but it was a prominent part of the culture that worked in cooperation with the masculine to make a whole balanced culture. It's when the culture is predominantly masculine and didn't respect and incorporate the feminine that there was imbalance, which is where the situation we're in now with our earth and our planet. But to answer your question, I mean, you find it by learning from other people who have done it and what they do, and then emulating them and just following that trail of breadcrumbs, right? Yeah,
absolutely. If you can find someone, and Awakening Aphrodite is talking about it, and I think that is a really great thing, is just to kind of listen, right, and kind of just catch the energy and the conversation, and I think that's how you kind of tap into your own.
Yeah. Well, there's no question the best way to learn how to do anything, whether it be bake a pie or build a building or learn a new dance step or lose weight or whatever it is to get over cancer or heart disease, is find someone who's done it, right? As Tony Robbins says, success leaves clues. Oh, you have to find someone who's done it. That's why support groups work, right? I mean, whatever it be, is we find learning and comfort in other human beings and the wisdom of generations to pass down to others. And so if you want to find how to access your feminine more, then find those resources of people who are doing it and learn from them, and then apply them to yourself and keep what works for you and toss the rest, right? It's all just a discovery journey.
Yeah, that's great. That's good. So you were talking about this light and sound and course that you took at this Czech. Can you?
Okay, so yes,
that sounds really interesting.
I'm glad you asked that, because it sounds like I have to clarify. I apologize if I didn't explain that properly. It's not part of the Czech Institute yet, but what it is it's this new science that actually came out of Egypt. Well, it's actually not new, but it's new because a lot of people don't know about it, but it's been around for decades. It's called biogeometry. And look it up. It's been mind blowing. I did their online course, the foundational course. It's very intensive science. I mean, it goes into quantum physics and sacred geometry and architecture, sound, light, cinematics. It's mind blowing. It's very intense. I'm now going to do the advanced level because I'm so interested. But of course, this is my profession, is health and wellness and all that. But the Czech Institute is also so gangbusters about it that they're going to incorporate it as part of their training somehow. So it's not a Czech product, but they're somehow going to expand and envelope the practitioners that are trained through the Czech system. They're going to encourage them to get this certification education as well, because it's such a beautiful complement and adjunct to diet, nutrition, lifestyle, exercise. It's such a beautiful, natural expansion of that they're going to encourage that.
And so what is it exactly? So somebody comes to, so you're a practitioner, you've done one of the courses. So I come to see you and what happens?
Okay. It's basically, they're not, to be trained as an actual practitioner is a much higher level. What it is it's balancing, it's harmonizing energy. Okay. So, as you know, most of the energy, everything is energy, right? Which is hard for people to wrap their brain around because, my head, I touch it, it's hard, right? It's matter. So, but how do we explain love? Like love is an energy, but we can't touch it. It's not tangible. So it can be hard for people. And even like chi, life force, it's an energy, but it's the same energy. It's just as legitimate as that chair you're sitting on, right? But one sense of energy is vibrating at a denser rate. So it's more matter than the other chi, love, life force energy. Okay. So what biogeometry does is it helps to harmonize all the energy in your environment that you most likely you can't even see is affecting you. And that's done through shape, colors, sound, all these different things. And they've developed a whole system to do that. I'm probably not going to be the best person to explain it. Obviously, it's a little esoteric for me. I mean, I'm virtually pretty green on this myself, but I can give you a quick example. So everybody's aware of electromagnetic radiation from our computers, our cell phones, right? So non-native EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies. So just because you can't see that right now with people listening on their phone or on their they have a headset or they're at YouTube on their computer. Just because you can't see doesn't mean you're not being bombarded by electrical rays right now, which are affecting every cell in your body. But nevertheless, they're very real. So these invisible rays can affect you adversely, and they do. They're causing all kinds of emotional, mental disturbances in people. People aren't able to sleep. People are getting dehydrated. It's really ruining people's health. The blue light from the screens are really disrupting our pineal gland, which is, such a master gland in the body for so many functions. So biogeometry helps to regulate the environment so all these forces aren't basically bombarding you and screwing up your mind body and making you unhealthy or sick or overweight or whatever it may be. It's an amazing science. It really is, but it takes a lot of study because it's quite complicated.
And so for somebody who so when you go to have this, you're learning, it's like you're going in and you're learning you're learning about it. You don't go and be treated.
Well, you could be, if you hire a practitioner, yes, they could come in your home and balance your home. So your home might be on fault lines, or you might have excessive magnetic radiation coming in through your house, through your router, so you can't sleep. and they can come in and balance your home. They've developed different signatures and different things that you can put in your home that balances the home. And, you know, they work. I mean, they're unbelievable. I mean, you can't argue with results. I mean, like you see the before and after and you're like, wow, it's like a different place. But to answer your question, people can start even just with the books. They have books. If you look up biogeometry, I'm hoping to even have them on my podcast one day if I can get them. They're just in such demand because they're working in schools and governments, and they're really going strong. But people can start with just the book, or even go to their website and download some of the free articles, biogeometry.com, I believe, and just hit English because they're based in Cairo, Egypt. And start with that. And if that piques your interest, I would then think about jumping into the online course, which they offer several times a year, and just see where it takes you. But even buying the book or downloading the articles is going to have you that much ahead of everybody else.
That's great stuff, actually.
Yeah.
And I think I've had an experience of that through our natural path. We were in transition of houses, and we were on a property, and it had a river running through. It was like a 5-acre parcel and had a river running through it. And wherever my kids were anyways, he's into this stuff, but I didn't realize that this is what it was. And
Yeah.
he said that where she was sleeping, that the river, the way it was running, that it was affecting her. And
Exactly.
it explained something, actually, because I was like, okay, what?
Yep.
And it was a thing. And so we had to sleep in a different room, and it really did make the difference. So this is, this is really real stuff, right?
Yep. Yep. And you know what, too, Jackie, you said your example was perfect. You said it much better than I did. And that's a perfect example. But I'll tell you what, this stuff is new to us, but it's not new to humanity. And what we're finding is, and you will see if you get the book or whatever, is that, ancient cultures knew this stuff, I mean, all this stuff has been lost on our current society. We just got away from all that, but ancient cultures knew. I mean, how do you think the pyramids were built? And how, all the things that, how could they find water? And if you search, architectural digs, the same sites would have churches, mosques, and temples all in the same location because they felt the fault lines and they could feel the energy, and the animals would go there. And how did the animals know? Because it had such a high life force, and they would avoid other areas. And so ancient cultures were in tune with nature. They weren't even in tune with nature. They thought of themselves as nature. There was no separation. So they were in alignment with it. It was part of their whole being, and we have lost touch with that. So I love these type of courses and programs and teachings and sciences that are helping remind people of this heritage and knowledge that we have had, that we can tap back into to help the quality of our lives and hopefully save the planet too. And in the meantime,
I love this stuff as well. Like this is my, I just bring it on, right? The science and the understanding of it is phenomenal.
Well, I'll tell you what, my friend, I just did you a big favor, because you are going to be flipping out when you look into this biogeometry. You're like, Amy, I love this. So yes, have fun.
I love that stuff so much. It's just, it's almost like food for me.
It is.
Yeah.
It's spiritual food. It is. Yeah. And like I said, I think earlier in the show that, our mental diet is just as important as our physical diet, just as important. And yes, for your weight as well, because your thoughts can make you fat. And I don't mean because you're like, oh, I want cake. I mean, because, that stress and cortisol tape running all the time in your body is not good for your nervous system and will screw up your hormones, which not only results in more belly fat, but also will increase your appetite. So there's a lot to that figuratively and literally our thoughts affect our physical body.
Yes. Do you know the statement of Joseph Pilates? It's on the wall. We go to this Pilates place, and it's like your body is a projection, a mirror of your thought. Yeah. So whatever you think your body is what it becomes. So if you say, oh, I'm feeling heavy, you get to feel heavy.
Mhm.
And it's just so true. Like we just are not, I, that's the whole thing, right? It's just becoming aware of,
Yes.
don't say
Yes.
that anymore. You might think it or whatever, but if you say it, then you're manifesting it, right?
Yes. And to that point, the belief thing, because a big part of my show too, and my work at this point in my life, now that I'm over 50, is that, the whole anti-aging thing and the power of what you believe is going to happen, the power of expectation, and the power of, I'm always telling, like I used to tell my students at my club, and I just tell all my audience or whatever, that you have to differentiate between what is normal and what is typical. Okay, because unfortunately in our society in this day and age, what we think of as normal aging is unfortunately the typical, but it's not normal. It's not normal to get fat as you get older. It's not normal to wake up every day and have aches and pains. It's not normal to lose your passion as you get older. It is not normal. Okay, it might be typical, it might be what's happening because it's what we see around us, but that's just a sad commentary on the state of affairs. It doesn't mean that's how it needs to be or how it used to be for other cultures. Okay, and again, as a woman, getting older and seeing my skin change, my body change, my interest change, my energy change, the way people treat me change, that I have to remember that I'm not going to open a magazine or look around me and accept that I'm going to expect this now on my 53rd birthday coming up in a few months. Like I don't accept that. That's not going to be my life. I know how I want to live and how I want to feel. And I have no problem getting older because it sure beats the alternative. But I definitely want to get better as I get older, and things are going to change, but I can still keep my quality, and I want to keep my wanting to be alive and my engagement in life just as high, and certainly not let any body limitation or inability stop me from doing anything, from traveling or hiking or anything like that, or having energy to see my friends or play with my niece, or you know what I mean? And that's all lifestyle. And it starts with your mindset. It starts with knowing that this can happen, that this is possible. And that's why I love like amazing female role models like you. For women need to see other women that are doing it. And like we mentioned earlier in the show, it's about learning from success, learning from people who've got it, and seeing it's possible is very, very powerful. So we need to be the example.
Do you know what? I had an experience of that, and I was in a very low point in my life, and I went on a Joe Dispenza 10-day Mediterranean cruise,
Wow.
and my daughter and I we went to a Champagne, one of the day trips, and sat with this lady. I can't remember her name even, and a gentleman, and it was like a 10-minute, oh, this is my daughter. And so it was like a quick excuse me, a quick synopsis of, do you have any other kids? Yes, right. So it was kind of one of those, right? And I ran into her a few times on the ship, and great lady. And one of the last days, we couldn't dock because it was too stormy. And I had my little Kuan Yin cards out that I had gotten that I just thought were just the best thing. And so I brought them out for a couple of my friends that I'd met. And then next thing I knew, we had kind of like a hub coming around, right? Like everybody wanted, and they're so powerful that when people were reading them, it was really just touching base. Well, I noticed that she had peeked her head in and left. Anyways, I left shortly thereafter, and I walked past the spa, the gym, on my way to go. And for some reason, I kind of just walked into the gym and looked around because I felt like I wanted to go in there, but I was kind of feeling tired from all the experience. Well, she walks around the corner at the same time as I walk in, and she had just gotten off of the treadmill, and she was soaking wet. And as she walked around the corner, she literally went, and literally fell. I grabbed her, I was holding her, she was crying, full of sweat. I didn't know what was going on, but she was like, oh my God, I haven't ran. She goes, I haven't ran for like some 10, 15 years because of the pain. She goes, and I sat and listened to your story. And I thought, damn, if she's doing that, then I can do this. And so just through the understanding of the work that Jill was teaching, she got on the treadmill that day. She walked, left, didn't pull a card. She went and put herself on the treadmill. And beautiful. She said, I'm going to get back. But she said, so she said, I just asked myself, I think I've just healed myself. I walk around and I turn and then it's you. And it was like, oh, and she just started bawling. So I'm holding her and hugging her. And, you know, it was, and so it made me realize that, okay, yeah, I'm not, you know, I'm still climbing my way out of the depths of where I was. But the fact that, I mean, that changed her life. And I had no idea. Like, it was a 10-minute conversation and it really was kind of a brush over, but it is important, you know, and I don't know, like you hear, or you have those experiences and it does, if it's just one person that hears it, it's that one person that, you know, I don't know, that didn't have the information that they had prior, right?
It's so true, Jackie. I feel like, you know, we never know when we're helping people, you know, and that's why just being you and being the person that you want to be all the time, you just never know how you might be helping someone and when you're helping someone, just by being true to yourself. And I know too that that's happened to me so many times that, and I'm sure even with your show, like you don't know who you're helping and when you're helping, and you're probably helping when you don't think you are. And that's what it's all about, right? It's just a ripple effect.
And not looking for it, just knowing that the intention is of service and not letting the ego jump in for validation, I guess.
Yes. And that's something I had to learn too the hard way, is, you know, just wanting that like approval and that validation. Like, am I doing it right? Am I doing it? Did you like it? Did you like it? Did it help you? And it's like, well, you know, I guess that's the blessing of getting older, and that you realize that, well, I had a hard time too, because I think in the health industry, they tell you to be of service, but you can't be of service if you're not serving yourself. And I had a hard time with the selfish service thing, back and forth. Selfish service. Am I being selfish? Am I, you know, but they're not mutually exclusive. But most importantly, I think particularly women have to remember, like it is not selfish to make yourself happy and to take care of yourself. It's actually selfish if you don't, because you can't be your best self. And you'll end up subconsciously resenting people around you if you don't. So that's a whole nother issue. That's probably a whole separate podcast.
It's a very big, important issue though.
Huge.
Because it's everything right there.
It's everything.
Us women, especially, you know, I deal with this all the time. And so it's very important what you're saying.
Yeah, we probably should schedule a show just for you and I to go back and forth about that, because we have about 20 of our girlfriends on it, because it's the struggle, I think, and I don't want to sound sexist, but I think women struggle a little bit more than men with that, because, you know, we're raised to be nurturers and to sacrifice ourselves, take care of everybody else, right? And I mean, I like to call myself a reformed people pleaser. I mean, it's gotten me into so much trouble just overriding what I wanted to do because of trying to make people happy. I mean, it drove me right into a midlife crisis and a health crisis. So we learned the hard way. I came out the other end, and now I'm still trying to find the balance between enough self-care and self-love and saying no and finding my voice and all that stuff. And my show has helped me do that. And, you know, just making progress as I go, and you know, just trying to be loving for others and of service to others, but also myself, because I really didn't even realize how much I was omitting myself from that equation. I was not loving myself. I mean, how sad that is, you know, it sounds crazy to say, but I really just wasn't. And the why behind what you're doing. Are you helping others because you want them to like you, or you want to feel good because you're being of service? Or are you helping others because You just are just bursting to give that love. The why is essential, and that tells you a lot about the motivation behind it.
Yeah, I've just been learning a lot about that. That is the biggest question to ask, like on a daily basis, right? Like, why?
Yep,
Why am I
yep.
doing what I'm doing? Because that's your motivation too, right?
And that helps people, that helps all those people who can't say no, right? The ones that feel bad when they say no to people. It's like, well, then you gotta, if you say yes, think about what is the why am I saying yes? Or do you really want to do it? Or are you saying yes because you don't want to upset this person by saying no? Right? There's the why. That's the big difference. And then you're fooling yourself if you think it's not going to come back to bite you eventually.
Yeah. Being a hairstylist in service for 30 years, I hear you.
Yeah, you were trying to make everybody happy, right?
Oh yeah, because yeah, that's what you do, right?
Yeah.
Goodness. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Oh my gosh, 10 years. Well, let's hope the planet's still here at the rate we're all going. Gosh, okay. I see myself smiling on a beach somewhere with a bunch of people I love in a beautiful environment and feeling very happy with the path I've chosen and that I've really helped a lot of people and made a significant impact on the world of sharing truth and love and helping people be seen and valued and heard. And I'm healthy and I'm fit and I feel just very much aligned with spirit and looking forward to the next 10 years of my life.
Nice. And if you had some advice to give your 19-year-old self, what would that be?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, pretty much this whole conversation. Listen to this conversation with Jacquie and Amy again about making yourself happy and not worrying so damn much what other people think, and that you have got to keep yourself in the equation of your priorities, and not feeling guilty about it. And most of all, to somehow find the courage to truly be who you are, no matter what pushback you're getting, even if it's from people very close to you. And that can hurt sometimes. Like if family members or people that you look up to or important to you are really not encouraging your uniqueness to come through and to live, that somehow you've got to do it anyway and fight for it anyway, because, we come into this earth alone. We are independent souls. We're all one, but we're still an independent soul. And you're going to leave this earth alone. And at the end of the day, you have to be who you really are, not what other people want you to be, even if it's for good intentions, even if they have good intentions and they think they know what's best for you. You have to be you and be you as soon as you can, because you're going to be a lot happier. And you'll find your people. You'll find your people because like finds like.
That's great advice.
It's the truth. That's what I wish I knew, because I'm doing it now at 52. And I still got a ways to go, but I'm doing it now. And, and it's not going to always be easy. That's for sure. You might be alone for a while. And as women, you have to be okay with being alone. And remember, you're not really alone, but you have to, because until you're super clear on who you are and what you're about and what you want, all that, a relationship can never work. It just can't work because you're changing too much. And who you are today is going to be different 5 years from now. So how are you going to be in a marriage for a lifetime when you're not even the same person, or you don't even know who the hell you are, or you're being who you thought everybody wanted you to be. And then all of a sudden you start finding your true self as you mature and you're a different person, So that's why I feel like it really starts with finding out and having the courage to be who you really are. And that might require you to stand alone for a while and to suffer a little bit as you find your people and you find your feet and you find your way. But that is going to make you stronger, and it's going to give you more conviction, and it's going to give you more depth and more self-trust and more self independence to stand and withstand and attract people worthy of you. So it's a necessary growing pain to get to the ultimate prize.
Growing pain. Yeah. And it is a pain because everybody wants to be in the box so they don't stand out. Nobody don't know, right?
Yeah. And they don't want to be in pain, so they don't want to grow through it. But you got to grow through it and go through it. And like I tell people too, you know, you're suffering either way, right? You're suffering because you're not doing it, and you're afraid of suffering because of the growing pain of breaking out and doing it. So you're going to suffer either way. You might as well pick the one that's going to get you somewhere, rather than spinning the same tape of suffering and just being stuck, right?
And I think it's quite exhilarating when you take the other one, when you take the road that you're, you know, that you're scared to take, right? There's a lot of good that comes just from this experience doing this podcast, walking through fear. It's very liberating.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah.
It's for, like you, the podcast for me was unanticipated, and but has been a revelation for me and a new shot in the arm of inspiration and motivation for me, this new direction. And I'm loving it. And then particularly because it got me to connect with people like you.
I love it. What else would you like our audience to know?
Well, those are pretty much the most important things. And other than if they want to check out my show, it's called Awakening Aphrodite. It's everywhere you can find podcasts. And then I have, of course, my website with all my work over the decades. And that's just my name, which is amyfournier.com. So that's AMY, F as in Fox, OURNIER.com. And that has my blog for articles. It has video. Can take my online fitness classes. I teach yoga and Zumba and Vixen virtually, my on-demand studio. And also, you know, I do free articles. I'm always trying to share, like you, all the wonderful teachers and practices that I've come across that have helped me and others, because I just feel like we're all in this together. And the more we can commune with each other and share, the better. And then my social media is FitAmyTV, which is FITAMY TV on Instagram and YouTube.
That's awesome. And I will make sure that all your information is posted with our video interview today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You're an amazing, amazing woman. Definitely a leader and one to aspire to. So
likewise,
thank you for being that, because we need to be this, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The world, though, I think the world is ready, and right back at you, Jackie. I feel the same.
Nice. Okay. Well, signing off, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. It's just started snowing here in
perfect.
Sunny White Rock, British Columbia. So I'm going to enjoy that. It's a rarity here. So
enjoy. Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye now.